you lost your leader, Oderus, at some point a couple of years ago. How he was kind of the mouthpiece for the most part of the band. Was he the original brains behind the whole operation? And how has it been to transition away from that?
Well, he was one of the many brains that have been part of Gwar.
Okay.
He was a very pivotal point of it.
Right.
And he was definitely the tip of the spear for sure. It's been tough. As Blothar stepped in and took over the helm, it's been very nice. I've been very appreciative of it.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have a special bond.
Yes, we have a special bond.
Right.
I'll see you later in the show. But it was devastating. But Gwar has always and will always move forward into the future.
Right.
Yeah, he still owes me fucking $20.
I know, right?
You think I'm not collecting on that in the afterlife?
Yeah,
You're crazy.
take that up.
But I mean, the human slaves of Gwar, as I said, coming together in art school, the human slave of Oderus, a fellow named Dave Brockie, he had a crazy rock band called Death Piggy. There was another guy who had a studio very near him that had a sort of a movie that he was making, and that's how Gwar got started in the human world, right? Like, those are the origins of Gwar, certainly. So Gwar has always been more of an ensemble effort than people credit.
Right. People want to give credit to one person because that's how we're used to thinking about it.
But that's why Gwar was able to keep going because it is there's actually people didn't understand what it actually was.
Right.
There are actually a lot of individual brains that come together to make and there is certainly the most amazing thing to me about Gwar is that a group of artists and musicians are able to work together in this way to create something.
Right.
Slipknot, you don't know who makes those outfits.
Right.
Kiss, who made Kiss? Who made those costumes? Nobody knows that. In Gwar, those people are the human slaves of the band that are in the band. So they are part of us. They don't work for us.
So you guys have always resisted taking on a lot of like outside help. It's always like felt like more
self-contained. Art is is a big part of it. I think that it's more of an artistic movement because you're cramming all these creative things together in one big pile to create Gwar.
Right.
So the music and the art both support each other heavily.
That makes sense.
And it's unusual. I mean, I've looked, being a bit of a historian myself, I can't find anything that's like it. I don't know, the Boy Scouts maybe.
When do I get my badge?
Does it feel like something that could go on forever?
No, it doesn't.
I mean, it's not going to get past next Tuesday.
It feels like something that will go on as long as the artists that create it want it to go on. I think that's the important personnel that are, and if anything, I think that we've learned that it's difficult to pass this torch, which is another reason that I think it would be not go on forever.
Right.
It's very hard to get this mentality, the aesthetic, the understanding of what Gwar truly is.
Right.
There's a lot of sacrifice involved.
Right.
And most people that want to make music and art are looking for a quick fix when it comes to success, and that's not what Gwar is. You talked about the difference in this band and the band that's riding around in a tour bus wearing jeans and t-shirts.
Right.
Right. It's not a glamour gig, man.
It's a commitment to an outlandish amount of effort.
That's right.
That you have to believe in it to such an extreme extent that you're willing to forego any sort of like rational explanation of the time and effort that it takes to do this.
And there's a lot of loyalty in a weird way, in a fraught family, fucked up, fighting, I hate you kind of way loyalty that exists in the band that keeps it together. And it's something that's I've not been able to replicate. I haven't seen replicated in the world. I think Gwar is truly unique in that way.
Right. That's so interesting. So Oderus' spirit lives on in the comic book, I'm assuming?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Is it like he's always going to be part of that universe, even if we don't necessarily see him on stage?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oderus is, I mean, he like you said, he was the mouthpiece of the band, and he was, you know, his humor style, you know, the things that he brought, you know, I think it's all still there, but he's not. However, in other forms, right, the comic book and films and things like that we're making, Oderus is going to be a part of it.
Do you have bright hopes for like how you could maybe take the Gwar universe and translate it into other things? Nowadays, we just see every brand name, every sort of band, entity, etc. There's like a rush to make a movie about him, to make a documentary about him, to make a series about him, etc. Like
we're in like a slow crawl to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, we've made movies. You know, we made a couple.
Right.
We haven't had the big Hollywood, you know, sort of budget to do something like that.
The Netflix documentary is an easy sell to me.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be.
Yeah.
You know, you could tell the story of doing this for so long. There's so many interesting plot lines that have happened within the band, and I'm sure a lot of the fans don't even know about.
And we're working on it. There's a documentary that's in the works. You know, I mean, it's difficult to. I don't know. There's a lot to say. There's a lot to the story.
Right.
There's this story, and then there's the story of the humans that have worked on it for so long, and in a lot of ways, that human story is maybe a little more interesting.
Right, and it's almost like there could be a time where you decide, let's lay it all out on the table. Let's let everybody know everything and really break shit open, because, you know, to a certain extent, you guys have to hold on to the characters to a certain extent.
We've managed, and I think that we have done this successfully by and large, that absorbing the characters into our sense of who we are, that I don't feel like I'm playing a character. I'm not playing a character. I'm Blothar.
Right.
You better believe that Oderus was Dave Brockie.
Completely.
Right?
Completely.
Those were, you know, so I mean, in a way, we're already doing that. One of the cool things about Gwar is, I mean, that history of two guys working together and being very passionate. You know, the other guy, Techno Destructo, right, was sort of the initial mortal enemy of Gwar. And in a lot of ways, those struggles and the things that go on stage, especially in the early days, maybe less so now, but they always reflected what was going on in the band with the personalities.
There was actual fights up on stage.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, it's always had its bearing to, you know, this is the way we see the world. This is the way we see reality.
Right. Yeah. Well, so there were fights between you guys on stage, because I was reading about how you guys used to fight fans all the time. Like it was just like kind of required that you would just go to war with fans who just got up on stage. Nowadays at like rap shows, you get up on stage, there's a bunch of bodyguards going to tackle you off the stage.
That's pretty much what happens at a Gwar show.
It's kind of had to change into that.
If it's not us, it's like 9 bouncers.
No, I mean, we get attacked, you know, by fans. We get it, but there are times when we've had to fight the bouncers, and that's no lie.
Oh yeah,
more than once.
That's great. I've seen that. I saw Hatebreed fight some fucking bouncers, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, these bouncers do not stand a chance.
Well, those
I had to tell a bouncer he's getting in the way of the show.
Right. You want to diss Hatebreed real quick? Let's do this.
No. I wasn't going to diss Hatebreed. I was actually talking about the bouncers. Like, you know, those knuckleheads don't like to get wet. Right? No. So you have, I mean, and there's a couple of different kinds, right? You got the bouncer that's wearing the yellow rain slicker, and he's been at, you know, he's a big muscly guy who's been around the block. And then you got the dudes who think they're in the Secret Service with the little thing in their ears. Those dudes don't like to get their fucking Gucci wet, you know? So those are the ones we have trouble with.
Right. Damn. Can you imagine the Gwar Gucci collab? I can imagine that happening. Like they did it with Gucci Mane.
Like a
Gwar can't be that far
Gucci
away.
cock bag, or what would it be?
A Gucci coochie.
Gucci coochie.
I would just like to see you guys genuinely just out there in some nice little like Gucci warm up outfits or something like that. Little polo shirt. That'd be cool, man.
That's what I want.
Try out something different, you know?
I want a pair of hammer pants. That's what I want.
Yeah, then you dance around with some hammer pants.
Yeah, I want to look like Sinbad.
Yes, there you go. You kind of have a Sinbad vibe. Actually, no, you kind of remind me of Steve Harvey.
Steve Harvey, all right.
That's a big compliment. Right?
I mean, what's he on? Family Feud now, or what is he doing?
Is he still on there, or is that Drew Carey now?
I don't know.
Who knows?
The worst thing that ever happened to me in my life.
They're the same dude.
I went to a girl. I was with a girl. We're at the club. We go back to her house. Start making out. I go to try to undo her pants. She said no. I'm like, okay, but why? She said, Steve Harvey told me that I need to wait like 20 weeks before I sleep with a guy. I'm like, Steve Harvey told you that? She goes, no, well, I have his book. And she pulls out the book and starts showing me the part where Steve Harvey's telling her that she shouldn't have sex for this ridiculous period of time.
Jeez.
That really kind of hurt my feelings. I'm like, Steve Harvey's cock blocking me right now. And he doesn't even know
Via
it.
the book.
For no reason. So you could be on the bestsellers list.
You know he's full of
Thanks
shit.
a lot, Steve.
Any girl that made him wait 20 weeks is dumped. I can promise you that.
20 weeks.
Ah.
Get the hell out of here. What do you think you got down there that's so special? No, but that's the crazy thing, too, is that now his daughter the other day was involved in a hit and run.
What?
Yeah, she got in a crazy-ass car accident and just ran, apparently.
Oh, jeez.
And she's dating Puffy. She's like 23. She's
Holy
dating
moly.
fucking Puffy. He's like 50-something.
Jeez.
Well, at least they're going to have good lawyers.
Yeah.
I figured I'd just hit you guys with some facts. You still have a problem with Dave Grohl? Has that been swept under the rug?
I don't think there was ever a problem with him. I mean, really.
Okay.
Yeah, well, Oderus did say that he had to take his teeth out so he could suck more corporate cock.
Right, and it sucks that Dave
It's
Grohl...
all in good fun, though. That
I
was
watched
all,
a clip of Dave Grohl
playful.
talking about it on stage, and he was so happy.
He was, yeah.
And
That
that
was
really
all
pissed
playful.
me off. I'm like, Dave, you're supposed to play this up.
No.
You're supposed to get mad, man.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
And he always has been. And we keep talking about Richmond, Virginia. It's very close to Northern Virginia, where actually a lot of the human slaves of Gwar come from that area, and so does Dave Grohl. So
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
those are the before he was in Nirvana, he was in a band called Scream, which was a punk band from Washington, D.C. And before that, he was in a band called Dane Bramage, which was basically his high school band. And we've been running around with that dude since those times. So.
Oh, okay. So all's well on the Foo Fighter front. It's kind of a shame that we'd never see like a Foo Fighters tour with Gwar opening up. That just doesn't sound
that'd
like
be
it would make
amazing.
sense, but it would be
No,
a beautiful thing.
we can't open for anybody. Nobody
Yeah, that
wants to
doesn't
get.
happen,
Yeah,
huh?
they don't want to get their shit wet. You know, like the fan. You know, they don't want the fans to be wet, and not to mention that Gwar's a pretty hard act to follow.
Yeah.
So.
Right, you go up there in your jeans and your t-shirt, and it's like,
Yeah,
well,
it's like,
this
there's no
gonna
giant
step
dicks
down,
out
even
here.
if they like those songs more or whatever.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, I think that we do that it does work. It's just that people haven't been willing to give it a chance.
Yeah.
Because if the band has a big enough following, and if the people are into it, you know, they're not disappointed. You know, they
Right.
know what they're getting. Yeah, and I think we showed that when we did the Warped Tour.
Yeah.
You know, and we're playing in front of Andy's band. You know, the sort of Black-Eyed Brides or whatever they are. I wish they were called Black-Eyed Brides.
Black-Eyed Brides.
Yeah.
Black Veil Brides.
Yeah,
I believe is what
right.
it is. But I totally understand that you want to disrespect them because I fucking hate that shit. Yeah.
Well, I do like that they worked out so much in the parking lot. They were, their
was what they're
bus was
into.
just filled with gym equipment.
Oh, that's right. It was the trailer full of gym equipment.
Yeah, they were back there on hippity hops and shit. Fucking
Wow.
Pumping
Respect to
iron.
them for doing that though, because I've can only imagine. I've never been on Warped Tour with like touring, but I've like had a lot of friends who told me about it, and it sounds like just a brutal,
It's like heavy metal summer camp.
Yeah, but is that weird for you guys because you're fairly ancient in comparison to a lot of the bands?
Oh yeah, well
There's a few other ancients on
yeah,
there.
yeah. The ancients would park together, and we'd sit. I did keep thinking the whole time I was out there. I was like, "Wow, man! If I was 22 years old, this would
This
be
would
really
be
fun."
awesome as shit.
But I'm not,
Yeah.
so it sucks.
But does it really like genuinely suck? Does being on tour ever genuinely suck? Because you guys have been doing it for so long. It's like you gotta really just appreciate every part of it at this point, right?
Appreciate every part. of
Okay,
it.
that might be an exaggeration. Yeah.
Really? No, I mean, at Warped Tour was particularly difficult because there wasn't really anywhere to go.
Yeah, and
Except
the
for-
heat was very oppressive. Most
You're either
of
out
it.
in the loud parking lot full of a bunch of idiots that look like the chick from New Year's Day. And,
You're playing in the middle of the day, and you guys are out
Year's
here
Eve,
obviously
whatever.
having the types of bodies and natural human flesh that you have all over you or whatever. It's like that's probably really bad.